Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing with GSUITE tutorials, and we are continuing with mail routing. Now, what is mail routing and how it happens is what we are going to cover, and what are the best practices for configuring new mail delivery to GSUITE. Now, when you are migrating to GSUITE, mail routing strategies of utmost importance, because mailing is of utmost importance. What the records contain, as we talked about records in the previous video, what those records contain has to be shifted to GSUITE. So that begs the question, what are the next steps you will take? Now this happens in a good practice in steps, so, or you can call it phases, right? So you will have your phase 1, then you will have your phase 2, phase 3, and typically phase 4 is enough, but that depends on the level of organization. Even 3 can be enough if it's a small organization. And what are these phases? What are we doing in these phases is something that is not fixed, again, according to the organization. It depends on the organization, but if I give you a bird's eye view, this would be looking into who stays and who goes, and whose records are to be transferred to GSUITE first, and how is the mail going to route, who is the mail going to, and by who I don't mean a user, I mean which server. Is it going to the LDAP server, LDAP server, or is it going to GSUITE, or is it going to both? So you have to figure that out, and in phases transfer everyone to GSUITE. So, and of course you cannot have any middle periods in which it is sending the mail to no one, so that cannot happen. That's why these phases are in place, that at this stage this will happen, at this stage that will happen, and eventually all of the mails will be going to the GSUITE, right? So for achieving this, these things are important. I don't like creating PPTs or slides. I am usually a terminal person, but this is just theories, I have to do that. Let's use red. So these are the things you have to know when doing this. Where are the MX records pointing? Then tell the client how their mail is being routed, and first of all you should know that, so we will discuss about that too. And once that is clear, you create the diagram and share it with the client. So sharing is important because they need to know where they need to look for their mail, so they don't end up looking everywhere and finding nothing, or looking at both places. We do not want to cause that inconvenience. So everyone at every stage should know what are they doing and where the mail is right now. Where is the mail being routed to? And the diagram of that flow will definitely help when you're working with this system. So there are certain type of mail deliveries that you can adopt, and you can ask your client and give them your suggestions. What do you want to do? So there are, on a bird's eye view, 3 major types of delivery you can set up. Let's go through them with colors. Okay, so let's look at direct delivery first. As the word suggests, the source, wherever you are getting a mail from. In direct delivery, you can either pick to go here or here. So it does not go to both. It will either deliver to this and to this. So whatever your client recommends, that where do they want the emails to start going to now, that's where you decide the direct delivery is going to that, and that's it. And users can access it from, let's say if it went to LDAP, then users can access it from there. And similarly, if it went to G Suite mail, users can access it from there. Straightforward, not an issue. In dual delivery, what would happen is it would go to the legacy server. Alright, it would go to the legacy server first, and from here it will generate a copy, and that copy would go to the G Suite mail. So this is usually good for phase 2 when things are in the middle of the thing. So you can do it for all the users, so users can still be on the legacy platform, and you can get your G Suite to working too. So this is really, really handy, dual delivery. And in some cases where you have shifted some people and some people are still left, so you can go for split delivery, and that is exactly how it sounds. It goes to both directly at the same time, but before going to both, it goes to G Suite filter first. I should have already created this. It goes to G Suite first, and once it goes to the G Suite and it looks out for looks out for spam and everything, it filters the mail like Gmail normally does, and then this goes to the LDAP as well as G Suite Gmail. And so that's how split delivery works, and these are the most important delivery architectures that you can. And this is the kind of diagram, not a much more clean diagram. It's what you want to hand a client to. Okay, this is what we decided on, then this is what we are going to follow as we migrate. Now that is on what you have to do, but how you have to do. We talked about MX records before, right? That's the thing you have to modify, and in each scenario it's different. So in case of, let's go backwards now, split delivery, the MX records of G Suites are modified, and MX records basically tell you where you have to take the mail to. So when I say you have to do direct it, this is how you direct. You change the records and you forward it there. So in case of split delivery, the MX records of G Suites are modified. So people who have moved to G Suite, they will directly get the mail in their Gmail, and people who are still on the legacy server, you need to add records that and forward the mail to the legacy server. So you have to modify the MX records of G Suite in split delivery. In case of dual delivery, actually let's start, to make it more clear, let's start with the direct delivery, because that's how it is interrelated. So in case of direct delivery, the MX records of LDAP servers, legacy servers, is modified, and this is it has records of its own, and all you have to do is tell it where, by default, before you even start doing things, MX records are already pre-configured in the legacy server, and they are directing the mail to the internal domain, whatever it was. Now you have to add a forwarding rule. Not forwarding exactly, you have to change the rules. So these records contain where the mail has to go. So instead of your own domain, the old domain, you have to change the record for the users who have moved to G Suite. You have to change the record to their new domain. You change the record, okay? So now it is either going here or there. It's not going to both. Now in case of dual delivery, however, the MX records are again the same at the LDAP server, right? still here, but now you don't change it. You don't change the already existing record. You add a forwarding rule. Just like a normal Gmail, you understand what forwarding rule is. Oh my god, it's so impossible to draw on this, write on this exactly. So you add a forwarding rule. From here, you get a forwarding rule, and the way it works is you do not forward it to the domain, you forward it to a subdomain. And this subdomain has MX records of its own. In this MX record, this is where you hardcode, or you can say directly add the domain. So here you get finally to the GSUITE mail, right? Okay, if that's not clear, let me just use text instead. So MX records have stuff, and this is the MX record of LDAP. When you're doing dual delivery, this is what your step is. In this MX records, add a forwarding rule, okay, to the subdomain, which could be example.mydomain.com. Next step is change the MX records. Change won't be the right word. Add to the MX record of subdomain, and this directs you towards the Gmail. That means mydomain.com, user@mydomain.com. That's how the mail finally reaches to both of them. This is the step process of it. Now we know what we have to do. Let's actually look how we do that. So this is for dual delivery, and you go to the domains, then you would get your option add or remove domains. Click that, you would get add a domain alias. So when I said previously subdomain, it's actually an alias for your actual primary domain. So that's what you have to do. Select add a domain alias of your own domain.com, and then you can enter your domain alias. After you've done that, continue and verify the domain ownership. After you do that, you would see something like this in your alias. Once you have added your alias, now as I mentioned before, we go and edit its MX records. So set up the records, MX records, that's what you have to click. And this is depending on your DNS registrar, this is what it will look like. Then you will change the MX records like this, and once it's done all of this, you have added the MX records. This is directly pointing to the domain addresses, because this is the alias one, as I mentioned in the previous slide. Let me show that to you again so you're not confused. We are talking about dual delivery here. So it goes to the legacy server, and then we have a subdomain or an alias that has its own MX records, which we are configuring, and that is what we are configuring in this one here. So we are configuring this, and once that's done, you should see something like this: your alias, domain, and domain alias for your domain name. So this is how easy it is to set up the dual delivery. Similarly, for others too, the process is almost same. Before we move on to a split delivery or other type of delivery, you also have to configure your inbound gateway. What that essentially means is when you are getting mail from, this is dual delivery again, when you are getting mail from your legacy server forwarded, so it should not consider that as spam, right? So it has to know, okay, this one is okay, inbound, it's a gateway, it will allow it, okay, this is an acceptable email, this is what we actually need. So for that, go to the admin console, go to the apps one. When you click apps, you would see these. Click G Suite. In G Suite, go to Gmail from all the other services. In Gmail, you would see advanced settings. Go to advanced settings. Once you go there, you would see this little section, inbound gateway. You would see configure it or edit option. Do that, add your gateway IP. Once you have added it, save it, you're good to go. As far as split delivery is concerned, what we do is, we know that we already discussed, for split delivery, the mail goes to G Suite, and then G Suite sends it to Gmail and your legacy platform. So by Gmail it's defaults, you don't have to configure anything much, at least. But for your legacy platform, your old app, you have to create an organization unit. It's called OU in short. What this does is, this is how G Suite knows where to send which mail to. So your organization unit is kind of the part that's getting the mail sent to as whole, and this organization unit is composed of users. So you create the list of users that this organization unit has. Go to the user section and manage organization unit, and then you will find your list of users, and it would look something like that. Once that is done, we need to add our mail route. For that, go to apps, in the console, G Suite, and settings for Gmail. Inside settings for Gmail, you will find host. Add a route for that host. In the mail route section, you would get this pop-up. Give it the name, give it any name. Let's say, for now, we can just call it legacy mail platform. Add your IP with port number 25. Of course, it's single host right now. And in the options, uncheck all of this. We don't really need this. Perform MX lookup on host, no. Or we don't require secure transport TLS right now. Right now, we don't know. So uncheck these and save it. And once you have the mail route, you add the routing to this mail route. So in the G Suite settings for Gmail, in the advanced settings, under general settings, you go to legacy users. Here there is routing here, not configured yet. Click on configure. In that, add a setting. You can call it split delivery for convenience. Message is to affect. Which messages do you want to affect? We want to send the ones that are inbound and internal receiving, both that are inbound from internally or from the outside server. Check both of them and scroll down. In the headers, add xgen original to the header and xgen spam and xgm FISFI headers. Add these. In the route section, change route, also reroute spam. Make sure to check also reroute spam and add the setting. This way your routing is configured. For routing policy, you need to do something else. That's another step. For default routing policy, we need a default routing, because to catch all the users basically that are not on G Suite yet and you might have missed. So you create a default routing policy that this is by default what you have to do. So go into the settings for Gmail again, and inside that go to default routing, and inside the default routing add a setting. Simple enough. In the first part, specify envelope recipients to match. Check all recipients. Now similar to that one, add XGM original to header, XGM spam, and in the route section again change route, also reroute spam. And below in the options, make sure you choose perform this action only on non-recognized addresses, otherwise it will be a problem, because we already have a setting for the recognized ones, so we are choosing this one for only the non-recognized ones. And yeah, with that we cover the mail routing. I hope this gave you an enlightenment inside how you have to configure all this. I think I did not miss anything. If I did, of course there are upcoming videos and I will make sure I include all of it in that. Stick to the series and we will master this G Suite soon enough. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.